If Bitcoin is digital gold, Ethereum is programmable money. Digital gold is worth maybe $4 trillion, which is good. That would mean Bitcoin's price goes up a lot. But if programmable money, that's about $400 trillion. Ethereum is coming to suck up those assets and eat the margins of the legacy market. The derivatives market alone is worth a quadrillion dollars. And that doesn't include trading and borrowing and lending. Ethereum is a juggernaut. My favorite investment. And in my crypto portfolio, I recommend if you're a crypto holder, right now I'm at 70% I recommend for Ethereum, ETH. I have a few reasons. I'm going to try to not get too technical here because I'll bore most of you. But I'll give you the points. If you want to hear more, let me know. Or research it. I'm going to look at this like giving you points for further research. First point I think is the most important and least understood. Ethereum's monetary policy is better than Bitcoin's monetary policy. Monetary policy means the plan for issuing new tokens. Some people call this an inflation rate. I don't like the term inflation because we think of that as consumer prices increasing. Just the number of tokens being issued. But that is directly related to the security model for the network. In other words, on Bitcoin, the transactions are secured by the miners who process the transaction and create a block. And for doing that, they're rewarded in new Bitcoins that are minted. And the amount of Bitcoins being minted keeps reducing. And so someday Bitcoin's issuance rate goes to zero. So how is the network secured? Well, they hope that the transaction fees on Bitcoin, even though the only use case right now is hodling, but they hope that the transaction fees are enough to pay the miners to secure the network. Ethereum's model is different. First of all, and when I say Ethereum's model, there is a well-detailed plan that is going to be executed. I'll talk a little bit more about, I love the Ethereum community and technology. There's a little execution risk, but I have great faith in the Ethereum team. I'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, so Ethereum's policy, which isn't fully implemented yet, but I'll talk about it as if it is, just to explain how it will work. So instead of computers running, on Bitcoin, solving math problems, using a ton of energy to prove proof of work shows that you have a stake in the system, which incentivizes you to not screw the system. Instead of proof of work, Ethereum will have proof of stake. So in proof of stake, instead of showing you have a stake in the system by using up a lot of energy solving math problems, you show that you have a stake in the system by staking your tokens of value. You stake your tokens, and that just doesn't require energy or work or as much time. And if you screw with the system, your tokens can just be slashed and taken away. A lot of research on Ethereum's proof of stake model that they are moving to, and in that it is much better than proof of work. And much love to Satoshi Nakamoto's invention, proof of work system. At the time, he didn't have an option. There were no tokens of value. There was no such thing as a proof of stake like this at the time because there were no tokens of value. And what he created is amazing and it's wonderful. But what Ethereum is building is better. And the issuance rate, within a few years, the issuance rate of new tokens, the rate will be lower on Ethereum than Bitcoin. Yes, you heard it. The issuance rate of new tokens on Ethereum will be lower than Bitcoin's. And there also keep in mind another part, not only that will Ethereum have that, but you use Ethereum to process transactions, their transaction fees on Ethereum, those tokens will be burned. So they'll be issuing new tokens at a lower rate than Bitcoin to pay for security. And then people who use the network will pay fees, and those tokens will be burned. It is possible that Ethereum's network will be secure and have zero inflation. I mean, we'll see what the numbers are, and it's going to be something that moves and is flexible and is durable and is anti-fragile. I love it. Next point that is very important to the Ethereum bull case. Ethereum is a triple point asset in that it is three things possibly at the same time. One, because of what I just mentioned and the low issuance rate and the security of the network, Ethereum can be a store of value. Just hodl it. It can do what Bitcoin can do, which is just sit there and hold value. But it does more. Now, if you stake it, you can earn interest on that Ethereum. So it is also a capital asset that earns interest. And it is when you process transactions on Ethereum, you will use Ethereum to pay for fees, and then it's burned. So it is also a consumable asset. This is tremendous value in one asset. And these 2 points are I think, not widely understood by people and not in the valuation of Ethereum yet. What else do I want to talk about here? This was interesting to me recently, and I just saw some friends and family over 4th of July at a distance outside to be safe, but I was amazed because a year ago, I mean, honestly, I couldn't even talk about Ethereum, or crypto. And if I did, it was sort of people laughing at me. That was the attitude. This year, I had some serious looks, like in the eye looks from people, some of them who have a lot of money. And the general attitude was, okay, we know the government is going to be coming after my money. Government's going to come after my money. And these are not people who have done anything illegal, just businessmen who have worked for decades and made a fair amount of money. And there's sort of two thoughts. One is, listen, I don't know what going on in people's minds, whether they're trying to hide money, I don't even think it's to avoid taxes or anything. It's just, I think if you have money, you don't want to be in a position where the government can just come into the bank and just take the money out of your bank and you wake up and it's like, oh, where'd my money go? Sorry, we needed it. People feel that's coming and they want to avoid that. Not to be illegal, but if the government wants the money, come and ask me for it first, please. I think there's a little attitude like that. There's also the attitude that, well, if this is coming, a lot of people are going to want to move their money. Where are they going to move it? Oh, Dave, you said they're going to move it to Ethereum? Okay, maybe I should invest in Ethereum. These are smart investors who are like, you know what? I think I'm going to buy it. When I told them, they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, listen, Ethereum's the best, better than Bitcoin. And they're just like, okay. Like there was no question of me. And I'm not saying that people I talk to right after 4th of July are going in there, opening up their Coinbase account. But I feel like it's coming. I feel like the tone has changed a lot regarding people who a year or two ago laughed or didn't want to listen to anything and now are like, I might give you a call later to get some more information because I may want to stick a little money over there. Now, the other point on Ethereum, Ethereum's had a few winners, right? We had the ICO boom. And now there's the DeFi boom. DeFi, decentralized finance. I am, for the life of me, trying to come up with a definition of what is DeFi. I'm going to try to make a definition here. If you have a better one, let me know. If this definition is like, well, what does that mean? Or does that mean this? Ask me, please put it in the comments. I'm trying to refine my definition of decentralized finance. Decentralized finance is, so in the existing legacy financial world that we have, it's in a sense, it's just a bunch of software and the banks and everybody interacting on a software stack. It's a new software stack that is decentralized in that each software piece is not owned by anybody. And it's completely open in that anybody without an application, without needing an account, could just come in and use it. And anybody can build applications on top of these things. So let's imagine you want to build a banking, a payment application, or you want to offer borrowing and lending in the regular world, the legacy financial world. You'd have to go to a bank and get permission and open it up and deal with all these regulations and all this. If you want to build an application on Ethereum, DeFi, you just go and you build it. And anybody can come and use it. And it can't be shut down. That's DeFi. Now, if you can tell me how I can say that in one sentence, please let me know. Or does that explain it to you? Or am I missing something? Thank you. Finally, I don't know if this is final. Actually, I got two more things. The community in Ethereum is my favorite. It's amazing. First of all, Vitalik, the creator, the original, one of the founders, and clearly top leader of the community. Genius, great leader, talks to people. He's amazing, and he's a great leader. Decentralized organizations, it's hard to upgrade. It's hard because you got to get everybody to agree, and there is no one in charge. Like some people say, oh, Vitalik, he runs everything. He can make people do things, or he's like a dictator. It's not decentralized because of him. It's not true. People follow him because he's great and smart, not because they have to. And it's great to have a leader that can mobilize a decentralized community. It's very important. And then within the community, there's so many people who are just really, really smart, hardworking, and great programmers. And we've seen tremendous success. I love watching Ethereum when they have an upgrade. I mean, compare it to Bitcoin. Bitcoin can't even seem to ever do an upgrade. And when they do, it's a bit of a shit show. Ethereum, they have upgrades. They're usually generally on time. Sometimes it gets set back by a little, but it's very well run. And they upgrade, and everything they upgrade works as planned. Love it. I love the community and the team, and that gives me that faith in the execution plan, because that monetary policy that I love, I know because of this community, it's been well researched, it's being worked on, and it will come out somewhat on time, I believe. And early in Ethereum's, I think things went slower than they had assumed, and that was early. Lately, I feel like they're somewhat on time, especially, for software launches in general, they're always late. All software in the world, people are always late. Ethereum's done pretty well, I think. So I like that. And that was my other point. My final point was about this idea of execution risk. Imagine you thought Bitcoin and Ethereum were the same. In a sense, Bitcoin's monetary policy is sort of it's not set in stone. It's a social contract, but the Bitcoin community's brains are set in stone. These people are stubborn. They're not moving. So their monetary policy is set, and there's no plans to change it. Whereas Ethereum's needs to be built, so that you could say there's some execution risk in Ethereum. For me, the execution risk, there's some execution risk on timing. Maybe it takes longer than we expect. But I don't think there's that much risk in it either not happening at all or not working. So I love Ethereum, like I said, in my crypto investments. I think you are running a risk to not have at least 1% of your total wealth in crypto. And that 1%, if you're just going to do 1%, you can just buy Ethereum. Buy and hodl. You know what? That's another thing for people who want to be in crypto and they don't want to watch it every single day like me. Ethereum you can hold. This thing's going to be around, and it's growing, and it has great value. And value is built to accrue to this token. And you can just hold it. It's easy. With these other things where I get in, and it can go up 100x or 10x, and then you get out, and you're moving around. Yeah, that can be fun. I like doing it. But most people should literally just hodl some Ethereum. I think it's a mistake not to. Oh, yeah. I'm not a financial advisor. And I'm not selling anything. Not selling my Ethereum. Accumulating. That's it. All right. Thank you. If you want to see my other videos on other topics, I'll be talking about different DeFi apps and various things. I have a video where I talk about my whole crypto portfolio, and then I have all these short videos where I talk about each of the items in that portfolio. So you can always find me, davelevine.com. Subscribe, or just go to davelevine.com or search Dave Levine, DOTCOM, on YouTube. Ethereum.com on the web. Okay, enough pitching. Thank you for watching. Peace and love.